Hi, I'm J-Ryze, and today we're going to go over Danii Banks' brand. I could talk about 25 different things here to help her brand, but we are going to focus on 3 today. The first one is her recent domestic violence issue. The second one is blowing up on different platforms. And the third is fan engagement. Topic 1, Danii's recent domestic violence issue. So earlier this month, the ex-guy Danii was seeing physically assaulted her. And of course, I feel terrible about this. I love Danii. I love what she's doing. You know, she has a good heart. She doesn't deserve to be treated this way, of course. Desperately. No one does. But we're talking about branding. And when something bad happens to an influencer or personality or anyone with a personal brand, how they choose to express and respond about that incident in front of their fans makes a big difference. It means a lot. It sends a message. Whether we like it or not. All of us have seen some celebrity sort of melting down or behaving strangely or whatever, and it definitely has an impact on how much people like them and seek them out and how many people follow them and listen to them. It affects their overall influence. It affects the influencer's overall influence. And we've also seen people who have something negative happen to them and they handle it with a lot of class and a lot of panache and flair and style and coolness. They're very zen about it, or very able to put a positive spin, even if they're going to be real and cry and, you know, vent and express. As long as they're able to, I don't know, find some silver lining or relax the judgment or be non-judgmental or something, as long as they're able to handle it with some kind of positive spin, that can generate tons of new fans for them. People who've never even heard of them are like, oh my God, that person's so smooth and so cool and so classy. Like, I'm definitely interested to know more. And so the point is that we're all human. Bad things happen to everyone, but we all have the option. We all get to choose what we broadcast to the world through social media. That's why it's an edited reality or whatever. So in private, you can like vent and moan and rage and cry as much as you want. You can do it with your friends, do it with your family, whatever. So when your whole life is content and your whole brand is based off of you and your expression, then hopefully whatever you put out publicly has a bit more thought and care behind it than just whatever you do normally with your friends in your living room or something. And I believe that's been the case for Danii for most of her career and most of her content. I think that she does put thought into what she puts out. But maybe during this traumatic event, that habit fell by the wayside or got forgotten, or maybe she deliberately chose to, say, screw that. I'm gonna treat my fans just like my friends. You know, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it's something worth considering. And if we think back to when Britney lost her cool a little bit, hitting the car with the umbrella or shaving her head or all that stuff, that generated a lot of backlash and lost her a lot of fans, some permanently. But when she managed to calm herself down and put out a more sensible message or a more positive spin or a more reasonable take on all the events that happened, a lot of those fans came back, and then she got new ones as well. So what I'm saying is there are always paths and solutions and ways to handle the events that happen to us in a way that can benefit us and all of our fan base. This is a thing that people with a personal brand are highly recommended to get good at. And it's okay to slip up here and there, because you can always come out and sort of undo the damage or put a different spin on things. Now, it can feel challenging in the moment, right? Something bad happens, we get triggered, we have a knee-jerk reaction, we're not thinking clearly, we're feeling very emotional, betrayed, hurt, disrespected, all these kind of things. And of course, it can feel tricky at those times to act rationally or to care at all about our personal brand. But just like anything in life, if something is upsetting you, it's an opportunity, it's a moment to tap into the grander parts of yourself. It's a moment for you to step back, breathe, count to 5, count to 10, whatever, and really think about how you want and intend to respond to this event. A major difference between the people who succeed well in life and achieve their goals are that they intentionally respond to what life throws at them rather than knee-jerk react to what life throws at them. This is a common trait across most successful people. When a similar thing happened between Rihanna and Chris Brown, Rihanna didn't immediately respond. She wasn't like jumping to get her side of the story out or spread the word or release a press release or something. She eventually did do all those things. She eventually did put out her side and get interviewed, I think by Oprah or some other shows. But she did it in a positive way, putting the spin on it that she wanted to put on it. And people think this is a dirty word, spin. Oh, you shouldn't spin things, just tell it like it is and whatever. And it's like, that's silly. Everyone has a bias. Everyone's spinning things all the time. When something happens to you in life, you either see it as a benefit to you or a curse, right? Like you see it as something that hurts you or something that helps you. And a lot of us, we think it's hurting us at the time, and then years later, how many times do people look back and say, actually, I'm glad that happened to me. Actually, that was a blessing. Actually, that taught me how to be a better person. That made me stronger, so on. It's super common. Finding the silver lining in things is a very empowering skill to have. And if you show me anybody who is unable to spin things to their benefit, I'm going to show you a miserable person who's failing, right? They're not going to be succeeding at much at all because they're too pessimistic or too realistic to ever find the good in anything. In fact, the entire PR industry basically exists to spin things more positively for their clients, for the celebrities, for their brands. Some PR agencies do this really well. Nobody notices, they're just doing their job and things go along smoothly. Some PR agencies do this really poorly and everyone can tell that they've tried to spin it and failed and so on. That's not really a good look. But in Dani's case, I'm not even sure she has a PR agency or anybody to handle this stuff, which means she has to do it on her own. And she has to choose what she broadcasts publicly and she has to spin it her way. From what I saw, everything she put out probably wasn't the best look for her brand. It seemed kind of like overplaying the victim card or being like a bit melodramatic. And I'll just say it wasn't handled as well as I've seen her handle other similar incidents. The Danii Banks I know is usually quite good at keeping it together, having a very like level-headed take on things, and expressing unfortunate incidents to her fans with a more productive or beneficial or helpful demeanor. But I get it, because the fact that this kind of thing has happened more than once can be really painful, especially for someone who's, looking for a fulfilling relationship of some kind, right? You're trying to find a boyfriend or a husband or a life partner or whatever, or even just a fun week or two with somebody. Getting treated so poorly is like mind-blowing, right? Like it's gonna trigger people. Who would be happy about that? But for me, I would do my best to try and find the benefits, because is it possible that this incident will make Danii smarter and wiser about the company she keeps? Is it possible she's going to have an incredible radar for people? Will she become the world's best judge of character? Are her circles and her friend groups going to be full of high integrity people with character? Is she going to be able to spot them from a mile away? Is she going to spot the signs of domestic violence way ahead of anybody else? Maybe she'll start saving other girls from it, right? Maybe it will spur her to start up a foundation or an organization or a charity or something. And that will help her brand and help a lot of people, and it'll be win-win-win for everybody all at the same time. Who knows what could happen from this, right? I wouldn't wish this on anyone, but I've been evicted, homeless, broke, abandoned, betrayed, jailed, all kinds of bullshit. And at the time, I thought it was like hell on earth. I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. And I wouldn't be hearing it from anybody if anybody tried to tell me there was a benefit or a silver lining or goodness to it. And I understand if Danii isn't hearing this right now, she doesn't want to hear this, but I hope either now or sometime soon that she's able to take away positives from this and turn it into a win for her personally, because she deserves the world. She's a fantastic person, and I know she's bigger than this problem. Number 2, blowing up on different platforms. So fairly recently, Danii put out a bunch of YouTube content, like a year or two or something. Her TikTok, similar deal. She put out a bunch of TikTok content, and I think she just started a Snap quite recently. And all these platforms are great. And when an influencer or branded celebrity succeeds so well on one platform, like Danii has, right? She's blown up on Instagram, just huge. Millions and millions of followers and fans. The next logical step is to do that on another platform. It makes total sense. So I love that she's exploring and expanding to these platforms now, and that she didn't fall into the trap of focusing on them earlier, right? She waited till she really crushed Instagram. She focused and committed to one platform and then started expanding, which to me is fantastic. This is the way to do things. If you're gonna do something, do it right. If you're gonna blow up on a platform, commit to it and do it right. And she did that on Instagram. She focused all her energy and time there. She figured out all the algorithm and the system. She figured out which content her fans like and prefer. She developed her brand. That was a ton of time, energy, and effort. But what often happens to influencers is they forget all of the hard, focused commitment that they put in to blow up on the first platform. And now they're used to having a huge fan base, and they think their fans should follow them from one platform to another and stuff like that. And they get uncomfortable when starting fresh over from zero, and they don't see like the growth or the crazy like counts and comment counts that they're used to and stuff. I'm not saying that's what happened to Danii. I don't know her, and she's never spoken about this publicly. I'm just saying, for one reason or another, when we become a super successful influencer or celebrity, we often forget what the startup life is like. And it's often quite a shock when we go back to it and start over fresh on another platform. And we forget that we have to learn the game and learn the system. We forget that we have to build it up over time. We forget that we have to commit a ton of time, energy, and effort like we did in the first place to blow up on a second platform. Or we feel like I have to keep up with my original Instagram audience, and then I don't have time or staff or energy or whatever to really focus on the YouTube audience or the TikTok audience or the Snap audience. And so now I'm trying to juggle two and I can't balance them. And it's like, oh, whatever, I'll just stick with my original super huge following on platform one. And that's a shame, because, you know, you can only grow so big on one platform, and there's a lot more fan base out there waiting for you. And, you know, maybe they don't hang out on Instagram that much. They're younger and they love TikTok, or they prefer long form content. So they're always on YouTube or something. And I think it would be awesome if Danii could reach those audiences. And I know she can. I just know that the path to that is getting your mind and your emotions right and committing to a second platform. It's investing into a team that's going to make sure your first platform chugs along quite nicely while you explore this new arena. There's lots of ways to do this, right? You could take one day out of the month and film 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 Instagram videos, reels, content, photos, whatever, all in that day. And then have a team over the next week or so edit it and shape it and craft it, put it together into something nice. And then you have a whole month's worth of Instagram content set up. Now, is that going to be a hard day? Yeah, it's going to be super hardcore. But Danii's a baller. She could put in the work. No big deal. Pay the team a little overtime or something. Like, whatever you got to do to get the Instagram content taken care of. And then your mind is free. And you're like, I can focus on YouTube for the next month. It's super freeing. And it lets Danii bring that focused, committed time and energy that she initially brought to her first platform to another platform, whether that's YouTube, TikTok, Snap, or something else. Another way to do it is just hire more people. Like, hire a bunch of people to take care of the Instagram, reposting content, or, you know, filming Danii throughout her day and just finding some candid content or whatever. And once Danii knows that the Instagram is well in hand and she doesn't have to worry about it, again, free to focus on the other platform and blow up on there. Part of it might be talking to some mentors or some gurus on those other platforms, or taking a course about those other platforms. SEO and getting discovered on YouTube is different than, you know, the TikTok algorithm and the For You page, which is different than whatever Snap has. I don't even know. One of my biggest clients, Evan Carmichael, runs a YouTube accelerator program, an incubator program, where he's helped tons of people blow up on YouTube. He is the master at it. I mean, ridiculous good. But he reached 3 million subscribers on YouTube, and he knows how to play the game. But for Danii to connect with him and interact with him, she's gonna need free time. if she's going to join the accelerator program, she's going to need her schedule free. So yeah, I think this is a really important point, and I'd love to see Danii blow up on another platform. And I know the path to that is having time, energy, and focus freed up to invest in whatever platform she wants to succeed at. And that leads us into point 3, fan engagement. So when you have 10 million fans, it seems almost ridiculous to bother engaging with them. You can engage with 5, 10 of them, 100 of them, 1,000 of them. But these fans are gold, and you mine that gold through engagement. And I bet anything that how Danii built her audience in the first place was through engaging with fans. For example, in those 10 million fans, there could be a TikTok expert. There could be a Snapchat expert. There could be a YouTube expert. There could be a whole new business team waiting to be hired who will be fantastic, fulfilling collaborators that's going to help Danii, expand her brand massively. But those people are only going to show up and raise their hands if they're engaged with. If every comment they make is ignored or met with silence, they're not going to feel too enthusiastic about contributing. But the majority of them are, thirsty or creepy guys who aren't going to contribute much at all and aren't worth engaging with. So is it worth bothering to engage with all these fans? Isn't it searching for a needle in a haystack? Seems kind of futile. Well, it depends. Some people look for a needle in a haystack just manually, by hand. Maybe they get a magnifying glass and they start looking, which, is a giant waste of time and effort. But some people use a magnet, like an electromagnet, and it just pulls the needle right out. The point is, the value is there, right? The needle is there. The businesses that truly succeed are the ones that are able to take resources that most people would ignore or throw away and monetize them, turn them into something useful. It doesn't happen instantly. It's not like, just anyone can just do that. It takes real creative thought. It takes brainstorming. It takes coming up with a strategy that's going to find that needle in that haystack. So, there's a few ways Danii could get a start on this, right? You could have a customer service staff that responds to everybody, or responds to most people, or responds to people who write more than a sentence. You could periodically put out contests, surveys, or polls, which are very engaging tools that filter out people you don't want and pull or attract people you do want. If you wanted a new video editor, you could start taking polls about well-crafted movies or favorite editing sequences. Don't say I'm looking for a video editor, but you could put out a poll that says something like, I'm curious. Out of the Terminator, the Queen biopic, and the Matrix, which movie was best edited or well made, or which one did you like best or something? And now you're finding all the movie fans. There's no video editor who's not a fan of movies. So now you've narrowed it down. And then the next poll, like a week or two later, could be something else. What's the best director out right now? Or Danii could put together a list of followers who are geographically near her, followers who live close to me, and then just go through them manually or have a team do it. Like, let's take a look at these profiles and see if there's anything to them. Oh, thirsty guy, creep, weird dude. Ooh, video editor, or like brand expert, or TikTok guru. Like, all right. If you want to grow and you want to expand, there's often resources, gold mines sitting right under your nose. It just takes a little bit of effort and creativity to mine them properly. The point is, there's lots of ways to mine your fan base, and engaging those fans is the primary way, is a very good way. And going back to the previous point, once you have a team taking care of your Instagram, or you have an Instagram system with all the content lined up, like for months ahead or something, it frees you up to really crush the fan engagement on the new platforms where you don't have very many people and every little like or comment counts. And so that's where you want to have the best fan engagement. That's how you want to blow up on those platforms. So that's 3 of my ideas to elevate and uplift Danii Banks' brand. And by the way, Danii, if you somehow are seeing this, feel free to reach out. Happy to collaborate, do anything I can to help. But anybody else, if you have a brand that you want me to review, or even if it's your own, Feel free to reach out, let me know in the comments, or check me out over at jryze.me.